Hi everybody, it's Matt again here from ITL Health. I hope you guys are all doing okay, keeping safe and well. It's been quite a while since I did a video, so I felt it was a high time I did another video and to talk about something that's really relevant at the moment, which given that we're living under a global pandemic is very important to understand, which is immunity. Now, as in all my videos, I'm going to try and keep it pretty simple. I don't use big words because I don't really understand the big words myself. But if there's anything you need to know about anything I'm going to tell you today, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'll try and answer those questions to the best of my ability. So let's crack on. So let's start at the beginning. Let's look at the basic things you can do to keep your immune system strong in the first place. Obviously, it goes without saying, diet. You know, the temptation, we've been in lockdown, the temptation is to not eat good stuff, just eat junk food. You've got to have a good diet, eat plenty of fruit and vegetables. That's the basics really. I do appreciate that, for somebody living in a 2-bedroom flat in central London, it's difficult, to get out and get some fresh air. But we all know the importance of getting out and getting some sunshine. I'm going to particularly talk today about vitamin D and magnesium and the link with those two having in maintaining a healthy immune system. Now, besides diet and of course supplementation, one of the best ways you can do to produce vitamin D is get some sunshine. So clearly, when we were under strict lockdown, you were only allowed to go out for an hour a day, or whatever it was at the time. But take that opportunity and keep taking the opportunity to get outside and get some sunshine, because it really is good for raising your vitamin D levels. Smoking and drinking, obviously, I think there's been a massive increase in the amount of alcohol people have consumed during lockdown. And it's understandable, people are fed up, etc. But it's not great for immunity. You've got to try and keep away from the demon drink and the cigarettes. Sleep, try and get some sleep. I've heard so many stories in recent weeks of people who have got poor sleep, and of course stress and anxiety levels because of the uncertainty, etc. are very high. All these things can reduce your immunity and leave you vulnerable, to picking up viruses, including COVID. Vitamin D and magnesium have long been known to keep your immune system strong. So basically, let's just give our immune system the best possible chance it's got by doing all the basics correct. And I'm going to talk a bit more now in detail about what we can do to do this. So before I get down to the nuts and bolts of the video, I just wanted to share with you some information I received a couple of days ago from a colleague of mine about a clinical study that was carried out in Spain. And it was a group of people admitted to hospital who had tested positive for COVID-19. Now, they split the group of people into two lots, and both groups of people received medication for the treatment of COVID, but one of the groups received additionally some vitamin D. And what they found was that the group that received the vitamin D, only 2% of that group ended up in intensive care, whereas the group that didn't receive the vitamin D, 50% ended up in intensive care. So that's really interesting information to know about clinical outcomes, giving people vitamin D who do test positive for COVID. Also, there's more research just coming out as well about another clinical trial carried out in Singapore, where very similar to the Spanish one, where a group of people came in with COVID symptoms and a section of them were given vitamin D, magnesium and B12. And the clinical outcome for these people was much better. Most of them didn't need any ventilation, had been put on ventilators, and most didn't end up in intensive care as well. So there's a definite link with giving people vitamin D and magnesium, and in this case vitamin B12, in clinical outcomes. So before we get into real detail about which products you should be taking to keep your immune system strong, I just thought I'd take a bit of time out to talk about the three groups of people that have been particularly hit quite hard with COVID and who are vulnerable to picking up COVID. First one being the elderly. Now, the elderly, they don't synthesise as much vitamin D from the UV rays as what the younger people do, so they're particularly vulnerable to having low vitamin D levels. Secondly, obese people. Vitamin D tends to hide away in the fat cells, so obviously if somebody's obese, they've got more fat cells, and you haven't got as much vitamin D flowing through your veins as what somebody who's maybe a normal weight is, so they're vulnerable as well. Also, people with darker skin. I mean, people with darker skin, they need much more sun to synthesize into vitamin D. Now, living in the northern hemisphere, particularly the UK and Europe, there's just not enough UV there to give these people enough vitamin D levels. So those three groups of people have been hit very, very hard. and all three groups would really benefit from supplementing with vitamin D and of course magnesium. So far you've heard me talk a lot about vitamin D, and I suppose a lot of you might be thinking, well, just take vitamin D. But it's not quite as simple as that, because if you take vitamin D in isolation, it can actually spike calcium in your body. Now, calcium's a difficult subject because we all need calcium clearly, but you don't really want to be having too much calcium flowing through your veins. You've got to keep things into reasonable levels. Magnesium is absolutely crucial in making vitamin D work. Vitamin D does not work without magnesium, and also K2 and a few other trace elements and minerals. So really you should be taking them all in the correct ratio. So I suppose, you think to yourself, well, how do I get this right? Is it a guesswork situation? Well, I suppose to a certain extent for a lot of people it could be, but luckily at ITL we've got some really clever people who've done all the thinking for you. So they've formulated some products that contain D3, magnesium, K2, boron, zinc, a few other trace minerals, and it's all the work is done for you. So let's get talking products. So let's talk about the first product, which is going to be BF, the lovely BF. So Mag 365 BF. Now, I have talked about this product in previous videos before, and I've mainly talked about it in terms of, as it's called, bone formula for protecting bones. Particularly postmenopausal ladies, there's always that risk of osteoporosis. So getting magnesium with D3, K2, boron, zinc, potassium is a great way of keeping your bones healthy. But at the moment, keeping your immune system strong and getting enough D3, this is the product. So this contains everything you need in absolutely the correct ratio. It's a really, really pleasant one to take. I'm taking this every day now. I used to take the standard Mag 365 on its own, but I want to get my D3 levels up, so I'm taking this product at the moment. Really, really easy to take. It's an ionic magnesium, which means, and once again I've talked about it in previous videos, this gets to work fast. This product works very, very quickly, and it takes the guesswork out. So you just take this and you don't have to worry about your magnesium levels, D3 and everything else. It's all done for you. So another product within the ITL range I want to talk to you about today is Prismag Plus. Now, Prismag Plus is actually magnesium biglycinate as opposed to magnesium citrate in the bone formula. I have spoke about Prismag Plus in previous videos in terms of sleep, because glycine and magnesium together combined are an absolute sleep powerhouse. It's great for poor sleep, which obviously at the moment a lot of people are struggling with sleep. It's got D3 and K2 in, like the magnesium bone formula has, and it's in capsule form, so slightly different, but it's another great product for keeping your immune system really, really strong. So check it out. So that pretty much wraps it up, guys. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you found it informative. We just can't underestimate the importance of a strong immune system, and clearly that's the key to keeping healthy with everything, with any viruses and bugs. That the stronger that your immune system is, the better chance you have of having no effects or very little effects if you catch bugs and viruses. Once again, any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm always here, and thanks again for watching, and stay safe and healthy. Thanks again.